Another topic that we want to look at today is how to switch back and forth from exponents to roots. So if we have our a and our n value just like before, and now we're going to introduce an m value. So our a is being raised to the power of m. And if that's the case, we can actually take this and write it as a fraction exponent, m over n. And we can also start here and go this direction as well. So either direction, this is true. Our m value is our numerator, and our n, which we're familiar with as the index, that is the denominator of our fraction. And so in order to help you remember how to rewrite these, you might want to think about the following saying: numerator back and the denominator in the front. So notice that the numerator, the m, is in the back behind the root. The denominator, the n value, is in the front. And to help you remember that, think of this little phrase: nobody does fractions. So if we want to change this fraction to a radical, we put the numerator in the back and the denominator in the front. If we have a negative as part of our fraction, well, that just means that everything that's about to happen is going to happen with the reciprocal. We're going to say 1 over everything that we see here. So the same types of equations can be written, but it's all over 1. And because we are putting a in the denominator now, a can't be equal to 0 because we can't divide by 0. So let's look at some examples. In this case, we're going to start with something like this, and we're headed this direction. We can do either direction, but this time we're going to start with a radical and change it to an exponent. So this first one, we have the square root of a raised to the third power. How do I know that it's a square root? Because it's not actually written. If we had any other index besides a 2, it would be written. You can write the 2 there if it helps you to remember. So remember that the numerator is the back number, so that's going to be the 3, and the denominator is the front number, so it's a 2. So our n value, which is 2, goes in the bottom. Our m value goes in the top. So this is our rewritten radical in exponent form. Let's try one where we have the opposite. So in this one, we have a 3 as an index, or our n value, and a 2 as our m value, or our power. So we could write this one as a raised to the 2 over 3 power. So notice that the fraction is backwards because our numbers are in opposite positions this time. If we have a negative out in front, then we just simply carry that along for the ride. So we will have a negative. This a is actually just raised to the first power because we don't have a power on it. So if it's just no power shown, then it's that implied 1 exponent. So we can say that this is negative a raised to the 1 over 3 power. Again, whatever our exponent is here gets placed in the numerator, and whatever our index is gets placed in the denominator. Whenever we see the radical in the denominator, well, that just means that our exponent is going to be a negative, just like this example up here. So let's make ourselves a note to that effect. Let's say that if a is in the denominator, the exponent is negative. We know that we need a negative exponent. Let's decide what that exponent needs to be. I'm going to have a raised to the negative, well, this is a 1 again because I don't have anything, so 1 over 3. So please be sure that you're making sure you understand the difference between a negative being out in the front and a negative being placed in the exponent. The only time you have a negative in the exponent is when you have a fraction involved.